Okay. So, panel. What government wants us to do here in this debate is when one organization is harmful to a country, like such extremist organization is harmful to a country, that country should declare that country should not declare it so until it affects the rest of the whole world. And we'll show you, yes, and we'll show you how this is what they are saying, based on the nature of international organizations that they have given, which is interconnected, And secondly, and which also differentiates us from our opening, they say that there is a cooperation among these international bodies in tagging these groups as extremists. But let us go beyond tagging. Most times when you tag people as extremist group, it's because you want actions to be taken against them, right? Maybe to box them somewhere, or to curtail their activities, or to arrest their members and put them in jail. Now, much more beyond the tagging is such obtainable in taking actions in checking them when you look at the international world or corporation. That brings me to our positive matter. But still, before I go into that, let me show you how the entire openings case on this side is flawed. What does Tayo come to tell you? He first says, number one, that extremism is the most extreme form of reaction. Number two, he tells you that the UN will just tag states, will just tag these things, and state will not be excluded from eradicating them. But then he goes ahead to mention that these states are dictatorial. So if a state is dictatorial, and as such we only tag those against their political climb, what is the assurance that this dictatorial state will work together with the international organizations to produce this kind of effect that they want to effect? And it is upon this entire premise that they base their case. Therefore, their entire case falls out. But what do we tell you? Coming back to the nature of these international organizations, we tell you that the nature of international organization is the one that is self-conceited, no matter how much on the surface they look like they are working together. Now, this is because unless something happens to start affecting other nations, many people fold their hands and do nothing. For example, the international organizations have already given words against civil, government offenses against their citizens. For example, what was obtainable in Syria. But the UN was basically lax, doing nothing until refugee problems started affecting Greece and the Mediterranean and such. So we tell you that the international organization is one that is very self-conceited in nature. What will this lead to? What would this lead to? We believe that nations instead should more proactively take their destinies into their own hands. We think that it does not necessarily, and we also believe that it is good for the groups, and good for also these nations themselves, because it is most times when you base your destiny in the hands of these international organizations, you are always basing your destiny on pinpoint, because these guys, most times there is the delay in arrival at policies. How does that come in? The multiplicity of views which they think to you will bring balanced equation actually will bring more dissension and bring more delay. How? The composition of these international bodies which are opening have flagged how, for example, the Big Five, which has 3 capitalist and 2 communist states, the communisms do not necessarily agree, are in conflict because China and Russia do not agree. How this is polarization, and this polarization robs them of objectivity because of the alliance that exists. Now, if you claim that the international organizations should be the only ones labeling these extreme bodies, let's not forget that, let's say in Russia, for example, Russia has alliances between these countries that are in the international organizations, and these allies will not betray their own countries, and therefore will lead to polarization, and at the end of the day will solve nothing. Now, if tagging is the only thing that they claim that they want to solve, right, we should international organizations should tag these bodies. We tell you that tagging goes beyond. Tagging goes beyond just labeling these people, like putting the label on them, but it goes into giving you actions. But before I go into that, let me tell you why again we should not limit this action, this thing to international organization. two questions. Why, please sit, why should countries be robbed of its existing mandate to declare groups as extremists as already exist in the status quo? Secondly, what legitimizes international organizations to be conferred with such extra privileges, especially since in the status quo, these international organizations already have measures of putting these extremists or countries that they consider erring in checks. For example, their corrective, their sanctions, their excommunication or isolation, or their excommunication or isolation of these please stop, of these bodies in the status quo. So when you already have a measure of controlling these people, we see no reason at all why we should give the only right that's then left to the states, to these international bodies, to go ahead to decide to be the major arbiter in the destinies of these states. Now, also, what do we bring to you? We tell you that this is a contradiction, because this is this is David.
Right. Do you believe that if the international community defines a thing as negative, it will just fold its arms and do nothing about it?
Okay, let us see what most of the times is obtainable in the status quo. Now the UN says that. What is that case? Now the UN says that they offers many statements, just like Declaration of Rights, charters, and things that are against fundamental human rights. When does the UN rise to fight against fundamental human rights? Not necessarily when Idi Amin is killing people of his state, but when these things begin to affect its neighboring states. Because most times neighboring states are never agitated to solve whatever it is that is wrong with the other states, because it does not affect them. And this is the principal nature of the international system. Every person, everybody has their own interests, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. And most times, if these things do not affect them, they tend not to move a muscle, despite, and this tells you the hypocrisy of the internationals, and this flags the hypocrisy of the international system to you. So what have we been able to tell you? We've been able to show you the self-conceited nature of the international system, how that leads to polarization, and how the alliance in the end place will help them to solve nothing, and how tagging somebody is not just a thing, how tagging will need action, and actions, if you then limit performing these things to international organization, how you are shutting out these countries, because most of the times they're the ones to take these actions against groups that they consider extremists. And we've also shown you the multiplicity of views that brings about the conflict of interest. And basic thing that we question, if there are already corrective measures in the status quo that are taking care of these things, why should we go ahead and place all our eggs in their basket, which will lead them to which will bring over concentration of powers in their hands? Should I stop it? Where is it?